Hello and welcome to the latest video and podcast from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. My name is Joe and today I'm joined by David to discuss the best captaincy candidates for Gameweek 26. David, welcome, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. We've had our normal game week out of the way. We haven't had too many of those recently, and now we're back to another weird one. We've had doubles. We've had all the Christmas ones all close together, and now we've got the winter break game week, which is kind of I don't know. I don't really know how else to describe it other than just kind of all over the place. Because of course we've got four matches on the first weekend coming up. And they are basically the only four matches that we have that we're going to have press conferences
Yes.
for. That's Everton, Palace, Brighton, Watford, Sheffield United, Bournemouth, and Man City versus West Ham. And then the remaining six matches are all the following weekend. So you're going to have to make decisions about players in those other matches, and that includes your Liverpool players, your Leicester players, Arsenal, Aston Villa, Spurs, Newcastle, Man United, Chelsea, all of these big teams. You're not going to know accurate, up-to-date information until possibly 5 or 6 days after the deadline. So completely, in my opinion, sort of colours every decision you've got to make this week. And of course, the biggest one of all is the captaincy. So very strange one this week.
Yeah, I mean, what are the obvious pro of captaining a player in the opening set of fixtures is that we get those press conferences. But I would say that nevertheless, so for example, Man City, who we're going to talk about, is Pep Guardiola really going to say, hey guys, Aguero is going to start up top? And so I'm not sure we're going to get that information. Whereas, I can see the obvious benefit of that. Nevertheless, you're going to get some information. Who knows what's going to happen during the week? There could be some minor training ground injury or something that rules out.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is you're going to know who's fit and who isn't, roughly, or rather, you'll know what you need to worry about. Or I suppose the other thing with Liverpool is they've got Champions League coming up the week after, or rather, like several days after their Norwich game. Klopp might say after we've all captained Salah in that particular one, like, oh yeah, there's no way Salah's going to play both of those games, and then you go, oh man. So then it's that sort of thing.
Well, it's that kind of thing, and so the way I'm not going to say who I'm going to captain just yet, but the way I'm looking at this game week, because it is unusual, it's the first time we've had that, is I'm going to captain one from a weekend, and I'm going to vice captain a player from another weekend. I'm going to do a split on my captaincy, because say, for example, if I go for Salah or Firmino, whoever, and find out during the week that they're not going to play, then I want to have the security of, say, KDB, who's playing the first weekend, and so on. Like that. For example, if you're captaining Aguero, who we're going to talk about now, if you're captaining Aguero and he's not starting or playing, I'd quite like the idea of having a vice captain in the second weekend, just because it keeps the game week alive a bit, rather than knowing the captaincy's gone. Let's turn to Aguero, really. I mean, I think the standouts from the first set of games got to be Aguero, really, at home to dodgy West Ham backline. But will he start? Looks a good option for those willing to roll the dice. I suppose there is KDB as well. And we found out today that Sterling is out for a couple of weeks due to injury, I understand. So, what are your thoughts? Aguero for the captaincy?
Yeah, I mean, it's handy, as you said, that if people want to go for fixture at one end of the weekend and fixture at the other end of the weekend, that Man City and Liverpool have been split up, which is quite handy, I suppose. It means that even though Liverpool are at the back end of the week, we still got Man City at the front end of the week with a nice fixture. I think Aguero will start this game because obviously they don't have to worry. So in this game week, because it's quite long, Man City don't really need to think about the Champions League, whereas Liverpool do. Man City's Champions League match, I think, is like the 22nd of or 26th of February. It's the second week of the Champions League knockout rounds, and then obviously they're going to play this game and then go into a break. And you've only got to look at how unfortunate Aguero was against Spurs. I mean, I don't really think that you necessarily drop Aguero for this game because he's clearly due a goal. Like Pep doesn't even need to look at goal, like anything like goals imminent, to know that he is incredibly due a goal. He was so unfortunate not to get a goal against Spurs. No player underperformed against their XG by a bigger delta than him, which basically just means he should have scored and was really, really unlucky not to. Home matches traditionally are ones in which he tends to start anyway. Sterling being injured also helps because it means that Jesus might be used as a wide man, freeing up Aguero to play up front. And of course, I know that he doesn't usually tell us too much, but there is still, of course, the advantage that we will have a Pep press conference before this match, before this deadline. We won't have one with Klopp. And the data itself is still great as well. So I feel like I'm not too worried about him starting. I don't think many people should be too worried about whether or not he's going to start. If he is going to start, I think he's going to absolutely run wild, because if you look at his last 4 matches, no player in the league's had more shots in the box. He's had 16. No player in the league has had more big chances. He's had 7. And no player in the league has had more shots on target with 10. And he's also top for minutes per expected goal involvement as well. So, yeah, he just looks in fantastic form. West Ham defence, yep, can confirm, still terrible. Last 4 matches in the bottom 4 for shots conceded in the box, in the bottom 2 for big chances conceded, and they're bottom of the league for XGC. Obviously they played Liverpool, but of course they're now going to go and play Man City, who are equally as devastating. So it's hard to see this going anything other than like a 3 or 4-0 to Man City. And if that's the case, then Aguero, if you've got him, feels like the safe bet, in my opinion, because of all the things we've already mentioned about fixture. So
yeah, he is. I mean, I think he's the standout captaincy option this week, because it's that rare, beautiful moment in FPL where you get someone with unbelievable form and stats against the worst defence. And that's great. I mean, as a Brighton fan, I was delighted with West Ham defence last time out, especially Pascal Gross's goal, which was travelling at, I don't know, 0.001 miles an hour, and still managed to go in. I think this is going to run right. Interestingly, I was looking back though at Aguero's track record with West Ham. Obviously, this West Ham defence is special, as in bad. But looking back, Man City have hauled heavily against West Ham. Sterling's done well in the past. Leroy Sané's done well in the past. And Aguero's got a couple of goals, both penalties. And that interests me this time around because, of course, penalties are up for grabs at Man City. Pep has said it's up to the players. Gundogan took it over Aguero and missed. So is he still on them? Is he off them? Edison allegedly is still the best penalty taker at Man City. Will he then take it?
Isn't he?
If Aguero's on a brace, does he take it to confirm his hat-trick, or does Gundogan once again take it? What do you reckon? Is he still on penalties or not?
Oh, I don't know. I'd love to see Edison. That would be great, especially if he misses it and then has to run back to his own goal. I don't really understand why Aguero is not on it. I mean, it's Aguero, isn't it? I feel that's all you got to say. I'm sure that's all you got to say to Pep is it's Sergio Aguero. Why would he not be on your penalties? I mean, I think you're right. I think Gundogan missing that penalty helps him. I think the fact that he's probably going to get 1 or 2 goals anyway helps him again. There's been a little bit of talk about De Bruyne kind of being on them, but I don't really know what precedent there is to assume that's going to happen. Gundogan had taken penalties in the past, so it's not shocking to see him take a penalty. Whereas I don't really feel like we've got that much history with De Bruyne. Although I do just want to touch on De Bruyne, even though I don't think penalties are going to come his way. So someone like myself who right now doesn't have Aguero, and I know I'm not alone. It's always been ominous when there's this incredible captaincy candidate and you don't have him. I have De Bruyne though, as some other people do. It's probably worth saying that even though De Bruyne is not I can't see him getting too much in the way of goal threat. He's had 2 shots in the box in his last 4, no big chances, 2 on target. So it's not a great deal. He's still the most creative Man City player. 15 chances created. So that's most of any Man City player, most of anyone in the league. He's created 3 big chances. Only Traore and Salah, who obviously we'll come on to in a minute, have created more big chances. So, and then you kind of have to factor in that this creative data means more for De Bruyne because of how good Aguero is right now. So then, if you're going to go down the approach of I don't want to captain a Liverpool player because of the Champions League match and the no press conference, I do want to captain a Man City player, but I don't have Aguero. I think that is going to be a fair number of people this week. Then I think De Bruyne is not a bad shout again as a safe bet. He's the best thing you're going to get as coverage of an attacker because the data is saying that if anyone is most likely to get an Aguero assist, it's De Bruyne. So yeah. Definitely worth keeping him in consideration for this captaincy as well.
Yeah, it's tricky for me. I mean, this week we're going to talk about it more on the Scoutcast tonight, so I do urge people to listen into that if they're around for it live, and also listen or watch the recorded version for the rest of the week. I'm on a wild card, so I can get in and captain anyone in theory, but do I want Aguero long term, and do I want him at the expense of others? So anyway, can talk more about that tonight. So if I get Aguero in, I will obviously captain him. If I don't get Aguero in, then I'm probably going to be looking at this guy, Salah. Now, you mentioned that Salah, Liverpool are playing in the second weekend. So for those that are captaining him, mentally, you have to prepare for one or two things going into that. Either Aguero is going to haul and you don't have him, and Salah's your captain, or Aguero completely blanks and you can look forward to Salah. Either way, you've got to wait a long time to find out whether this guy's going to do well. We've also got Firmino, who's been doing your team excellently, and so many others as well. We've got Mane possibly returning, and of course, the safe bet is Alexander-Arnold in defence, even Van Dijk, perhaps Robertson. Lots of options there for Liverpool. What do you reckon?
I suppose I've got to reiterate just what we said before, that you are going to wait a long time for potentially something you didn't expect to happen. And I think the worst thing is you'll find out on Friday. So then you'll go into the match possibly knowing, something, it won't hit you as a surprise on Saturday. You'll know on Friday and have to deal with that frustration for the end of the game week. But yeah, how much is Klopp going to tell us anyway? I don't know. If let's take that out of the equation and just look at, who's likely to do well. I mean, Salah obviously I think is still the standout candidate. We were just talking about Aguero and his goal threat. And it's worth saying that Salah's is not far behind and, of course, counts for more as a midfielder. So Aguero's had 16 shots in the box last 4. Salah's had 15, so only one fewer. So really it just means nothing, especially when they're on a level pegging on that, especially when you consider Salah's midfielder. 5 big chances for Salah, 7 for Aguero. 6 shots on target for Salah, 10 for Aguero. So, Salah's still basically second best for all of those stats in the whole league. But at the same time, whilst being quite close to Aguero and all of those things, and of course getting an extra point as being a midfielder, his creativity is infinitely better than Aguero's. So he's created 9 chances, numerically just for basic key passes. That's not particularly amazing compared to the rest of the league, but in terms of the quality of those chances, very, very good indeed. Already mentioned that he and Traore are joint top of the league for big chances created in the last 4. So you're looking at a potential spread of points there for Salah. Norwich's attack hasn't exactly been amazing recently. Liverpool's defence has been quite good, so potentially an extra point there for clean sheet as well. So if you take away the kind of the caveat of when the fixtures are, in terms of the form between them, then Salah, of course, possibly better because he's more likely to get assists and slightly less likely to score, but when he does score, he gets more points. So Salah's still looking very good. And of course, Norwich's defence has been pretty poor all season, and it's usually worse at Carrow Road, as we've sort of mentioned a few times. They've conceded more goals at home than they have away because they basically try and play football a little bit more. And naturally, against the best teams in the world, that's going to backfire.
Yeah.
So they're going to concede. So every chance that Liverpool win this game quite heavily, which is why I also think, Firmino is worth considering as well. He's had 12 shots in the box, so 3 fewer than Salah over the last 4, but he's had the same number of big chances and the same shots on target. And of course, away from home, has had more attacking returns than any Liverpool player. So interesting one to consider there. Of course, Sam triple captained him for the double game week, and that did well for her. And obviously he's done well even at Anfield with those assists recently as well. I think it's something like 22 points in 2 game weeks for him, so he's looking quite good. And of course, I do want to mention Mane because Klopp, when he ruled him out of the West Ham game, said he's probably not going to play the Southampton game, and of course he didn't. But in that same quote, he said, and after that, he should be fine. So, there's every chance he's involved, but of course, the Champions League game is always going to be in the back of his mind. Would it make more sense for him to perhaps bring Mane on for the last 20 minutes, get him kind of a little bit back up to speed, and then start him in the Champions League game? Or could he start him against Norwich, arguably the easier fixture to make a comeback in, and then be the impact sub for the Champions League game? Lots of unknowns there. So yeah, obviously I wouldn't recommend captaining him. The only other one, just I guess consider, no one's going to captain him, but worth looking at is Jordan Henderson, who out of nowhere has just kind of soared into attacking returns area. Like he's 2 goals, 2 assists in his last 3 is crazy. So I do think this is going to be a big win for Liverpool. Salah naturally is the best one to go with. Without wanting to sound like a broken record, if you captain Salah, it's going to be a long, long wait until you find out the injury news and then play the game itself.
So he could be a good captain for a patient manager. I wish I knew one of those. Defence-wise, I was interested in the expected goals conceded for Norwich. So we'd already spoken about West Ham. They're really bad. As you said, they're the bottom of the pile for the last 4 matches. Expected goals conceded. Conceded 10 and should have conceded about 9 or 10. Norwich much fewer, but nevertheless still there. 6 they've conceded, and they should have conceded about 6 or 7. So they're still bad. They're still conceding the big chances there. We can see West Ham with 14 big chances conceded. So this is primarily, I think, this week is going to be down to your Man City asset v your Liverpool asset.
Oh yeah,
I think definitely. They are the 2 best teams. They're against 2 dodgy defences. So you've got to be looking at them. And it's just going to be depending on your mentality and obviously which players you've got as well. I mean, there are other options, really. And one I'm particularly interested in as a difference. So we're talking about sort of slight risk taking. Will Aguero start with Salah? You've got to wait a week. But there's this other guy here, Son for Spurs. Now I quite like the look of him as a captain this week because we're talking about dodgy defences, and of course we know what the Villa defence is like. It's awful. A very interesting article I was reading on Fantasy Football Scout by Neil today about Spurs, looking at the impact of their lineup, and is it Bergwijn was playing on the left, which is where Son has been playing, which if Bergwijn is playing on the left, then Son is going to be playing more centrally still, and of course that's where he scored his goal. What do you reckon? Son against Villa? That's another great matchup in theory.
Yeah, definitely. Son has obviously been sort of a bit of a differential recently, and if he can get that goal against Man City, then you've got to expect that he can get it against other opposition. This is going to be. We often talk about opportunities, don't we, when we come to the captaincy? We always want to try and target a situation where lots of people captain one individual. If you have your slight reservations, maybe you go a different way. And Son is not really being talked about in the poll particularly too much. So Salah obviously is top with 48%. Considerable amounts. Aguero is on 18%. Son just 1.25%. So if you're captaining him, I mean, I don't even think he's particularly heavily owned right now either. So it could be a potential option if he delivers. I'm still I still have my slight reservations about Spurs because I still don't really know what we are going to get from them from game to game. Like I'm actually quite surprised that they beat Man City. I really did not see that coming at all. And the other thing is that Villa have started playing a new formation recently, which I'm not saying is then all of a sudden Liverpool overnight, but they have tweaked their formation a little bit. So they're playing 3-4-3 now. And it means they're hurting teams a little bit more because they're able to get Target and Gilbert into more advanced positions. It means that Grealish is slightly further forward as well. So they're protecting their back four a little bit in that sense because over the last 5 matches that they've played this back three, they've managed to reduce the number of shots conceded, the number of shots in the box conceded. They've reduced the number of shots on target conceded. The only thing that's gone up a bit is big chances conceded. So maybe they're getting counter-attacked on more. So maybe that plays into the hands of Son.
Well, they're giving up quality chances, aren't they? But they're reducing the quantity of those chances.
Yeah. So there is some progress in the sense that Villa's defence, it's still not amazing, but they're doing things to kind of address the problems. So then all of those kind of factors, I think I'd rather go for a Man City player or even a Liverpool player because I think Norwich at this point, I mean, I think they're gone. I don't really see what point there is in trying to park everyone behind a bus. So, I think both of those games are going to be really open. Whereas I think that Villa v Spurs, I actually couldn't call the result. Villa could win that. I think. I still don't trust Spurs' defence. So Man City, Liverpool, I can see them quite easily thrashing both of their oppositions. I can't see Spurs thrashing Villa. I mean, they might, but it's not as much of a possibility. But at the same time, if Villa were to win 3-2 or 2-1, again, I'm not going to be surprised because they are making some progress in this new formation at both ends of the pitch. So we also talk about caveats and sort of like things that kind of make you think twice. And I have a few when we're talking about Spurs assets this week. But I mean, that's just me.
Yeah, no, I think I was still urging people to have a look at the thoughts of Neil earlier today in that article because it's quite illuminating. But also, looking at Villa, looking at that 15 big chances conceded in the last 4 matches is really bad. So that mirrors what you're saying about the the quantity has gone down, but the quality
Yeah.
there.
Although, of course, one of those games was the City match, I
Yeah.
think, which possibly an outlier.
Yeah.
In one sense. So.
And the stats. I mean, the expected goals conceded. Getting on for nearly 8, so that's pretty bad. But they have actually conceded 10. So if you're trying to find a silver lining to their defence, it's that they have actually been unfortunate to concede so many. So if people are looking at their 10 goals conceded last 4, the same with West Ham's last 4, they're not on a par there. Their expected goals conceded is less than West Ham. So they're bad, but they're not West Ham bad.
Yeah.
Once again, that points us to Aguero. Moving down the list, looking at now, I wasn't impressed with it. I haven't been impressed with Aubameyang. I mean, poor lads hasn't had a chance, been suspended a lot of it. But there's something about Arsenal's attack. I can't quite put my finger on it, but nevertheless, Aubameyang at home to Newcastle is on paper potentially a captainable option. But what do you think?
No, nah. I mean, I could just copy paste what I said last week, couldn't I? I don't trust Aubameyang, and lo and behold, here we are, a couple of days after he's blanked against Burnley. So. Yeah, I mean, people. If there's anyone watching this video who hasn't heard me talk about Aubameyang before, then I will just briefly summarise. I don't trust Aubameyang because he can post the best stats in the world, he can post the worst stats in the world, and he just never does what he's supposed to. There's all number of metrics that you and me like to use to try and assess players, and they just never apply to him. There's been a few times when he's looked like the nailed-on captain option, where he's had like loads of shots in the box last 4, loads of big chances, loads of shots on target, facing a team that's conceded loads of chances, and then he blanks. And I can think of 4 or 5 occasions where that's happened, and then of course he goes and gets a double figure haul against one of the bigger teams. So there's no trust there. There is absolutely no trust there at all. So it's a no from me, Clive.
He's the poster boy of the Maverick manager. I'm gonna captain Aubameyang. Everyone's captaining Salah and Aguero, but I'm gonna go for Aubameyang, and then guess what happens? As you said, what I found interesting. So he's shot in the box every 48 minutes over the last 4 matches that he's played. That's not great for a striker that's 10 million
plus. 2 shots a game. That's terrible.
No double-digit hauls at home at all this season. All 3 of those hauls have been away: Watford, Norwich and West Ham. So it's just not looking good, really. I think we're almost at barrel scraping time if we've gone to a Aubameyang level. But nevertheless, if you're a Maverick,
I think we're already in the barrel. But that's just my opinion.
Let's see if there's anything more down at the bottom of that barrel. Looking at those fixtures there, everyone can see those fixtures there. You can see how they're divided unusually across those 2 weekends. The only one I'm really would look at is Danny Ings against Burnley. His underlying stats have still been good. His eye test looks good. He could have scored against Liverpool. He's just looked great. Burnley, I'm not sure about at the moment. Why are they not conceding more? Pope is doing really well, but I do think, we've spoken before, I just think partially it could be masking other things. Ings could score there. I think he could be a safe bet. What do you reckon?
Yeah. I mean, his underlying numbers have always been quite strong. He's become very shot heavy, which is the type of option I personally like. 13 shots in the box last 4, only Salah and Aguero have had more. So if you're looking for someone who's busy in the box as an outside option, then why not? I mean, obviously Burnley is. I don't even know what to expect from them anymore. I mean, flip a coin. Really, just flip a coin. Predicting what happens against them is really difficult. So. I don't know. We'll see who turns up.
It's like someone who's wronged you. It's like, Burnley, I don't even want to look at you anymore. I don't even know what you are.
I just don't even know what they want anymore. I really don't get it, because they'll post really bad defensive stats and then keep a clean sheet, and then they'll post really good defensive stats and then not keep a clean sheet and what have you. So it's quite hard to captain someone against Burnley for me. But I mean, I've still got Ings. He's going nowhere. Only other one I guess. I was thinking of was maybe a Sheffield United defender against Bournemouth, or maybe like Fleck or something, because Bournemouth's defence has been still relatively bad. I've done an article that's actually on top of site right now. So if you're, the next thing you do after you watch this, go and have a read of it, because it's quite important, on Sander Berg, who's obviously signed for Sheffield United, potentially sparking the end again for Lundstrom after he already lost his place to Bezic. So interesting information there. But in his first game against Palace, he was top of that match for tackles. He had 6 tackles and he won all of them. So if we're thinking about how good this Sheffield United defence is already, if Berger's going to play every week, then I think they're gonna be even better. So then, yeah, if we're talking Maverick, barrel scraping, whatever, then yeah, there's Sheffield United defender.
Henderson could be
Henderson
good
or a Stevens or a O'Connell. I can't say Lundstrom anymore because it really is up in the air. I mean, he could come back. I mean, Wilder's has put some quotes out today that suggest that he's quite happy with the response he's got from Lundstrom since losing his place and then Berger coming into the club. And then maybe that's a good thing because maybe it means he plays better and then can get back into the team. But I think for now, my suspicion is Lundstrom is going to be a bit of an impact sub, as he was against Palace. Yeah. Berger's the more defensive player. Lundstrom's the more box-to-box with a bit more attacking threat. So he's ideal, actually, as an impact sub. And as an impact sub, that's not what we want.
It's interesting what you were saying about the Bournemouth defence as to target, and also the Burnley defence as well, who we don't know anymore. But the goals conceded, expected goals conceded stats I always find quite useful in these circumstances when we're not quite sure. And we can see there with Burnley exactly what they're all about. So they've conceded 4 in their last 4 matches, but they actually should have conceded nearly 8. So they've been very, very lucky there.
Yeah. But Pope's played well as well, hasn't he? So.
Similar can be said for Newcastle. So if there's any Mavericks out there still pinning their hopes on Aubameyang, Newcastle have conceded 3. Whoop-de-doo. Everyone loves a bit of Lascelles and all the Newcastle back 4. But wait a minute, they should have conceded about 8 as well. So they've been very, very, very lucky. And Bournemouth there, goals conceded 6. Their expected goals conceded 7.53. So 7 or 8 goals they should have conceded. So there are options this week. It's not all about Aguero and Salah, but realistically, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just before we go, we've obviously reached the bottom of the barrel. Just want to mention the members area there. I mentioned Neil's article. I believe some of the details there are restricted to members. But you can get membership every month. And it starts from, it doesn't start from like the first of the month. It starts from when you get it. So you get a month's worth of membership then. But you can also get it for the rest of the season. But it's worth it for those types of articles. And also all those stats tables that we've been putting up on the screen, they're all from the members area as well. And of course, there's the season ticker. But for now, David, thanks so much for joining me, and good luck with whoever you captain in Game Week 20, in the split shift Game Week 26.
Yeah, good luck to you as well.